somebody that has a hard time finishing everything that you start and makes yourself feel bad about it, here's what the energy of the week is going to tell us for how to harness that energy, whether or not you have gate 53 in your human design body graph or not. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Brenna. I'm a human design reader and mentor of 9.5 years, teaching you how to practically integrate human design and astrology into your day-to-day life. And we are going to talk about the weekly gate transit in gate 53, which is known as the gate of beginnings. Now, if you have a Cancer placement that's between about 15 and 20 degrees in your natal chart, you are going to notice that you have gate 53 highlighted in your human design body graph. So when you're somebody that has gate 53, you are somebody who's comfortable starting things over and over again. And what I want you to be encouraged to focus on during this week, or if you have this placement in your human design body graph, is the fact that whenever you are learning something new, it is contributing to a bigger overarching project in your life. And I have a client that was feeling this energy this week, the week ahead. She kind of feels things a few days earlier in true Cancer rising fashion. And she was paying attention to how she wanted to start her podcast and was feeling that it was just kind of stagnant. She knew she wanted to start it a couple months ago, but then she announced it and it kind of fell flat. And when we had her next session, this was her 20th session with me, she ended up just needing kind of a revitalization, something to respond to in true manifesting generator fashion to make it feel reignited and excited again. So we came up with this new concept and this new idea for how she's going to proceed with the original idea she had a few months ago. And really this idea started almost a year or two ago, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not that when you stop and start something new that you are procrastinating or that you're making yourself feel bad or guilty. You shouldn't be doing that, but rather just taking note of where it needs some fresh new energy and juice to get that thing going and to make you more excited about pursuing it. You are someone that really teaches us that life is meant to be lived and we are meant to explore many different things throughout our lifetime. So we are meant to trial and or go through a trial and error process and to pick things up and put them down again and really figure out what works best for us. Now, this week is going to be a good week for anyone that's in a mentorship position because you're going to be really good at initiating or helping other people to get things going and started. So if you have something that you want to launch that's been like kind of on the back burner and you want to relaunch it, now could be a good time. Just pay attention to the fact that we do have a full moon and Mercury retrograde that's coming down the pipeline. The full moon in Capricorn, I have another video about that, is actually going to be happening on Thursday, July 10th. So paying attention to how that affects your chart natally is also going to be important. Whenever we have a full moon during Cancer season, it's always going to be in Capricorn because that they sit opposite each other on the zodiac. Same thing for Leo season. The full moon's going to be in Aquarius. They sit opposite the zodiac, so on and so forth. So just another cool tidbit for you to learn. Maybe another rabbit hole for me to send you down this week. Now, what's really going to be helpful with this energy is that we also have Gemini that has moved into gate 20. For our Venus, and then Uranus that will also be in the same sign, which is basically the gate of the now. If you are a generator or manifesting generator in human design, you may have this placement naturally in your body graph, and it may just be something that we're looking to nurture a little over this time. So paying attention to that, really being where our feet are. I say that often, but now is a time like ever to really pay attention to that phraseology and listen to those words where we know that we are really blooming where we're planted. Gate of beginnings teaches us to really take surveillance over what's happening in our environment, what needs a new fresh start, and what can we look at with fresh eyes, or maybe we're picking up an old project that we have put aside that we want to get going again. Big tip that I'll give you for the week ahead before we break down each of the days of this transit is looking at your signature in human design. If you're a generator or a manifesting generator, it's satisfaction. If you're a manifester, if it's peace. If you're a reflector, it's surprise. And if you're a projector, it's success. And I want you to ask yourself every day of this week, what can I do today to make myself feel satisfied, successful, etc.? What can I do to make this project the most successful that it can be, so on and so forth? And just kind of using that as your North Star to be able to ground yourself in whatever it is that you want to accomplish this week. So without further ado, let's get into the breakdown for the next 6 days of this transit and how you can use it most effectively to alchemize the energy at play. If you have gate 53 in the first line or on the first day of this transit, this is known as the line of accumulation. And basically this is a just really succinct version of what I had mentioned prior when giving the overview of this gate placement is in its exaltation is starting something based on the accumulation of knowledge that you've had. In its detriment, it's feeling guilty about the criticism that you receive for not finishing things that you start or feeling guilty about what other people, or not even guilty, but like just bad about what other people have shared on this detrimented day, or this element that can push you towards the detriment, where it's like allowing yourself to listen to what naysayers are saying versus what you are actually excited about. On the second day, or if you have gate 53 in the second line, you are somebody who's looking towards gaining momentum. And so looking at your successes versus your failures is the difference between the exaltation and the detriment of this placement, where you can either do things based on any momentum that's good momentum. Maybe you are looking to walk more and you walk 1,000 steps, but don't let yourself feel guilty about not being able to do a full 10,000 steps or whatever that marker is in your head. If you haven't been walking 1,000 steps consistently, but you are doing so today, allow those small wins to build the momentum for what you can continue to do moving forward. Really taking stock of what's worked today versus what went wrong is going to be much more helpful if you focus on what went right and expand that, so you can, kind of drown out the bad or the negativity that can surround us on this day. If you have gate 53 in the third line, or on the third day of this transit, this is known as the line of practicality. And on this day, we're focusing on making sure that we highlight what went right as well by eliminating anything that gets in our way or any kind of conflict. Now, in the detrimented aspect, what you want to be aware of is similar to the energy that we had last week, gate of provocation energy, where it's like provoking things to go wrong because you are holding on to that story so tightly that things always go wrong. So you want to be in control of that narrative. Maybe you go out of your way to make arguments or have arguments with people. You just want to make sure that you are aware of this. And this is going to be happening right before the full moon in Capricorn. So it's extra, just juice, extra energy of people being extra nasty, extra annoying out on the road in the world, right? You're just taking note of that, but you know better, you're going to be prepared. So focus on having conflict or eliminating conflict because you're focusing on prioritizing your peace. Don't yell at people who are committed to misunderstanding you. The louder you speak doesn't mean that you're going to have more impact on them at all. Now, on the fourth day of this transit, or if you have gate 53 in the fourth line, this is known as the line of assuredness. And today we're going to be feeling the energy of really allowing ourselves to do things even if we feel a little bit socially awkward. Now, for me, with 3 Aquarius placements and being an Aquarius rising, I'm kind of used to being the underdog or just like the odd one out. And odd doesn't even mean a bad thing. I just know when I stick out in certain groups, or I'm like comfortable just kind of being a little bit in the background and not having to be front and center, right? And so we're paying attention to our roles and interactions with other people, the role that we play in group dynamics, and paying attention to what we want to do to grow and share our energy. Now, the thing that's really important that Aquarius placements can teach us, and me as your mentor and your guide through this week, is to really protect yourself as an individual and not making yourself try to fit in like a square peg in a round hole. If you can sense that the people that are around you aren't really getting you, just walk into another room. You're in the wrong one. It doesn't mean that you have to make yourself small or to make shrink yourself to fit whatever the group dynamic is in front of you, but look for people, places, and spaces that you're actually going to be appreciated today. And that can be online or in person. Now, on the third day of this transit, or if you have gate 53 in the fifth line, this is known as the line of assertion. And in the exalted aspect of this placement, this is where we see people really sticking to their guns and fighting for what they know they need to fight for, really being a master of debate, making sure that you stick by the facts of what you know to be true. And facts can also be feelings and your intuition, as a lot of 5-line people should know if you have a 5 in your profile. This is where you want to be paying attention to your gut instinct, what you know to be true, especially if you are a splenic authority. You can really pay attention to reading the room and knowing where are we going to be able to get people who even were against us on our side in some way. They may not fully agree with our perspective, but they can appreciate it when we attack the situation at hand with a lot of logic and grounded reasoning. Now, in the detrimented aspect of this placement, it's like knowing that people are inherently going to be a little bit against you, or knowing that debate and like people not necessarily getting along or appreciating one another is like an amplified factor in your life or just in the energy of today. And so what we're noticing in the atmosphere is paying attention to maybe like overly trying to poke the bear of the people that aren't getting along with us. So like even if they're kind of staying silent, maybe you have a coworker that you don't really like that much, or you guys are kind of like having this balloon that's growing and growing and growing, and you try to forcefully pop it, it's not actually going to help you. It becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy or narrative where you always get attacked or you're always under attack. So you do things to kind of provoke that more, other than focusing on what I talked about a few days prior with really focusing on what went right today or who is right for you. Focus on growing that, watering that grass to make it greener instead of pouring into more of that negativity timeline. If you have gate 53 in the sixth line or on the sixth day of this transit, this is where we are really celebrating the energy of being a beginner and how being seen as a beginner is never a bad thing, no matter how far you are along in different journeys in your life. So, not being afraid to be seen as a beginner that starts again, that's really going to be the good exaltation of this energy today. In its detriment, it's being afraid of being a beginner and really hiding your beginning stages of wherever you're at in life. We are allowed to begin again, and we're supposed to because we're human beings having a human experience and a spiritual one. So, putting our energy into practice, really focusing on the new things that we can start that are exciting to us. We are here to play and explore. And in times that are always changing, we want to make sure that we have left no stone unturned in this lifetime. So, thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you being with me to learn more about Gate 53 and how it's going to be affecting us this week. If you have any questions or if you have this placement in your chart, let me know in the comments below, and I'd be happy to help you workshop any areas that you feel a little bit stuck, or I'm taking any requests for areas that you may want to know more about in your human design body graph. So, thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.